Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your well-rounded math teacher, Mr. Picard. We're on Unit 7, Notes Video 4, Solving Polynomials Using Division. It says solving polynomials. What does that mean? That means we're going to break it down into all its factors. Our learning target, we can find the remaining factors of a polynomial given one of the factors in the beginning using synthetic division. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to do a little geometry here. Let's say the volume of this rectangular prism here is 70. Volume is length times width times height. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say the height here is 7. What would the length and width be then? Well, 70 divided by 7 is 10. So 10, multiples of 10, or factors of 10 would be your length and width. So dividing 70 by 7, the height here, you're left with 10. 10 breaks down into 2 times 5. So I'd say my width is 2 and my length is 5. So that's kind of what we're doing, but now we're doing it with expressions. Okay? In this particular problem, the volume is x cubed plus 3x squared minus 36x plus 32. That's a polynomial expression. Well, we want to break that down into factors like x minus 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide by one of the factors and then break down what's left. 10 is 2 times 5. But we're going to do it on a little bit larger scale here because of the polynomial expression. Okay. The volume of a rectangular prism is given by this function, v of x. V is for volume, is like I said, x cubed plus 3x squared minus 36x plus 32. It says find the missing measures. We know the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. You know that one of the measures is x minus 4. So if x minus 4 is a factor of v of x, it divides into v of x. So I'm going to say this, volume equals length times width times height. So my volume, x cubed plus 3x squared minus 36x plus 32 is equal to length times width times height. And we'll just say length times width times, I'll say my height is x minus 4 now. So if I want to find the length and the width, what I'm going to have to do is divide both sides by x minus 4. And then work from there. Okay, what do you mean work from there, Picard? Well, dividing. The fraction bars just means division. We're dividing by this binomial into this polynomial. So I'm going to use synthetic division. First I'm going to take x minus 4, set it equal to 0. Adding 4 to both sides, I get x equals 4. In synthetic division, that's what I'm going to put in that little box, is positive 4. And then I'm going to take the coefficients and constants of the polynomial that we're dividing into. X cubed, it's 1x cubed plus 3x squared minus 36 plus 32. And skip a space and start using synthetic division. Bring down the 1. 1 times 4 is 4. That's adding the 2 up in this column. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Negative 36 plus 28 is negative 8. 4 times the negative 8 is going to give me negative 32. We add these two up right here, we get 0, and that is my remainder. So it divides in there evenly. Okay. What we have left is this. We start out with an x cubed, so this becomes 1x squared plus 7x minus 8. Now, what this represents, okay, if we go back up here, is the length and the width. We said the x minus 4 was the height. Basically, we're just looking for all 3 measures, or all 3 distances, length, width, and height. In order to do that, this is x squared. We're going to factor this. Those 2 factors are going to represent the length and the width. It's just 1x squared here, so it's just x and x. Factors of negative 8 that add up to 7, I'd say positive 8 and negative 1. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8 up here. 8 plus negative 1 is 7. So it's x plus 8 and x minus 1. Okay, one of the lengths they gave us was x minus 4. And now we have x plus 8 and x minus 1. This is my length, width, and height right here. I found them by using synthetic division and then taking my answer and breaking it down again to find the other two distances for the measures, our other two measures. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing today. Let's just try a couple here. Let's get into Mr. Sunshine here, number 2, or number 1 I should say. It says given one of the factors. Here's one of our factors. Use division to find the remaining factors. Write your answer in factored form. Okay, so we're going to divide this in here. This is an x cubed term that we're starting out with in our polynomial. Our answer is going to be x squared. We just take that quadratic, then factor it, and we'll have the other two factors. So once again, here's our first factor. X plus 3 equals 0. That's going to give me x equals negative 3. So synthetic division. This is in degree of decreasing order, 3, 2, 1, and then degree of the 15 is 0, because there's no x term there. 2, 15, 22, negative 15. Skip a space. Start working. We always bring that first one down. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 and 15 is 9. What do we got? Negative 27. It's going to give us negative 5 when we add it up. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. It divides in there evenly because our remainder is 0. Okay. Our polynomial we divided into that we started out with was 2x cubed. Our degree is 3. Our power is 3. So this 2 becomes a 2x squared, 1 degree less. And then just work your way down. Plus 9x minus 5. So here's our first factor, x plus 3. Here we have an x squared term, so we're going to have two factors that we have to find. Well, how are we going to find them? Well, we're going to factor it. That's what we have to do. We are working with a number in front of x squared, so we're going to have to use a little bit of trial and error here. Factors of 2 are 1 and 2. That means it's going to be 1x and 2x. Factors of 5 are 1 and 5. Now one of them has to be negative and one of them has to be positive. But the main thing is when we plug a number in here and we multiply the outside and the inside, it has to add up to 9x. Well, 5 times 2 is 10, so I'm going to put a 5 here. I want positive 9, so I'm going to make this a positive 5 and I'll make this a negative 1. Outside, x times negative 1 is negative x. 5 times 2x is 10x. They add up to this 9x right here. So the factor I started out with, I think it was x plus 3. Yep, there's the first factor, x plus 3. That's the factor we started out with. Other two factors are x plus 5 and 2x minus 1. We're doing this over and over again. This is kind of a building block what we're going to get into later on in the trimester. Breaking these apart using synthetic division and then some of our factoring skills. Okay. Let's try number 2 here. They give us this factor. That means x minus 7 equals 0. If you solve that and add 7 to both sides, x equals 7. There's going to be 3 factors here because it's an x cubed. We already got our first one here. We're going to divide it and then factor to get our other 2. Degree of decreasing order, it's x cubed, x squared, x to the first, and then no x, so it's in order. 1, negative 4, negative 13, and 70. Always bring down the first number, synthetic division, 1. 1 times 7 is 7, and start adding. 3. 7 times 3 is 21. And what do we get here? Oh, 31. Made a little mistake here, children. Negative 31, a little dyslexic there. That's going to give me negative 10. negative 10 times 7 is negative 70. They add up to 0. Divides in there evenly. That's kind of nice. So this is x squared plus 3x minus 10, and then we factor it. This is an x squared term, so there should be two factors here, x and x. Factors of negative 10 that add up to 3. Well, that's 5 and 2. I'll make the 2 negative, because 5 plus negative 2 is 3. But when I multiply them, I get negative 10. X plus 5 and x minus 2. So first factor was x minus 7. They gave us that one, and we found the other two. X plus 5 and x minus 2. So if I multiply these all together, this is the polynomial I would get right here. Okay, so this is solving polynomials, finding all the factors of a polynomial. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult, given one factor. Now our factor is 2x plus 1. So that's our first factor, so we got to set that equal to 0 and solve, so we can use synthetic division here. Subtracting 1, I get 2x minus 1, equals negative 1. Divide by 2. As soon as you divide by 2 on both sides, you got to do a little bit more work when using synthetic division. So negative 1/2 in our little box here. 6, 29, negative 7, negative 10, and off we go. I'll bring the 6 down. Negative 1/2 times that 6 is negative 3. Add that together, you get 26. Half of negative 1/2 times 26 is negative 13. That's going to give me negative 20. Negative 1/2 times negative 20 is positive 10. These two add up to 0. It divides in there evenly because my remainder is 0. But we divided, when there's a 2 in front of that x, doesn't matter what that number is, you're going to have to divide by that number in order to get the number we plug in our box for synthetic division. So we have to go over here and divide our answer by that same number 2 before we can start working. We start out with an x cubed, so my quotient or my answer is going to be 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's 3x squared, 1 degree less. This has a degree of 3. Our quotient or answer has a degree of 2. Plus 13x minus 10. We're going to get two factors out of this, but we have to factor it. So we're going to have to use a little bit of trial and error. Factors of 3, 1 and 3. So it's not too bad. It's going to be 1x and 3x. And then factors of 10, you can use 1 and 10, 2 and 5. But we need to add up to 13 here. Boy, I think I'll start with 5 and 2. I know 5 times 3 is 15x. And this x times the 2 here is going to give me 2x. The difference is 13. I think I want a positive 15 and a negative 2x. And that adds up to 13x. So, what did we get? Our first factor right here that they gave us was 2x plus 1. The ones we need to find were x plus 5 and 3x minus 2. There we go. That's the answer we're looking for. Same thing over and over again. I think I'm going to have you guys try. Just try it. See what we're doing here. Number 4. I'll go ahead and try it. See how you do. Maybe you may get it right. Maybe you don't. But hit pause and try it. Okay. So hopefully you've hit pause. Here's your actual answers for number 4. X minus 5 and 2x plus 1. If you didn't get that, if you made a mistake somewhere, you can work with some of your friends in school tomorrow, or definitely come ask me a question and we'll work it out. Let's flip on over to the back, get into some of these word problems. Okay, the volume of a rectangle is x cubed plus 3x squared minus x minus 3. The width of the rectangle is x plus 1. They want us to find the height and the length. Okay, volume equals length times width times height. So, setting this up, our volume right here, x cubed plus 3x squared minus x minus 3 equals, I don't know the length, I do know the width. The width is x plus 1, and the height. So we want to find the length and the height. So I'm going to divide by x plus 1 to get rid of that. And when I do divide this x plus 1 into this polynomial here, what I'll have left in non-factored form is my length and my height. And then when I factor it, I'll have my length and height. So same thing over and over again here. Let's we're dividing by this x plus 1. So I'm going to take x plus 1, set it equals 0, and I get x equals negative 1. That's the number. I'm going to plug in my box for synthetic division. This is in degree of decreasing order. 1x cubed, 3x squared, minus x, that's negative 1, and then minus 3. Bring down the first one. Start multiplying. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Adding this column up, I get 2. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Adding this column up, I get negative 3. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. When I add these two up, I get 0. My remainder is 0, so that means it divides in there evenly. My answer, my quotient becomes 1x squared plus 2x minus 3. This is basically right here my length and my height. I just have to factor it, and I know what my length and height are. Which one's the length, which one's the height, that really doesn't matter. Factor x squared is x times x. Factors the negative 3 that add up to 2. 3 and 1, the 1 has to be negative. So it's x plus 3 and x minus 1. So there it is. There's my length and height. You can say the first one's the length and the second one's the height. It really doesn't matter. But those are the two answers we're looking for. Good. This one's a little bit more complex. The area of a triangular sail, is this. 16x to the 4th minus 60x cubed minus 28x squared plus 56x minus 32. That's your polynomial that we're looking for your area. Square meters. The height of the sail is x minus 4. What is the length of the base of the sail? So we have the height, we want to find the base. It's not a rectangle or a square, it's a triangle. Area of a triangle is base times height all over 2. There's the extra work. We don't definitely want to work with fractions, so eventually we're going to have to multiply both sides by 2. Okay, so area. Well, here's the area right here. Should I write this out correctly? Okay. I have to move this guy. Equals, so the area equals the base. We don't know what the base is, times the height. The height is x minus 4, all over 2. Whenever you're working with triangles, you're going to have to multiply both sides by 2, so those 2's cancel out. This whole thing have to multiply by 2. So, distributing this out, just multiply 2 times each and every term. This is 32x to the 4th minus 120x cubed minus 56x squared plus 112x minus 64 equals the height times x minus 4. So it's height times x minus 4, so to solve for the height and get it by itself, I have to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So I'm going to divide this whole thing by x minus 4. I'm going to use long division in order to do that. Not long division, synthetic division. So the first thing I do, what are we dividing by? X minus 4. That binomial we're going to set equals 0 and solve. So adding 4 to both sides, I get x equals 4. Okay. To the fourth, to the third, to the second, to the first, and then no x term, so it is in degree of decreasing order. 32, negative 120, negative 56, 112, and negative 64. It's a little long-winded one here, but we'll get through it. Bring that first number down, and we get 32. 32 times 4 is 128. Adding those together, we get 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Negative 56 and 32 is 24. Negative 24. Negative 24 times this 4 over here is negative 96. Adding those two together, I get 16. Positive 16 times 4 is 64. So what does that mean? This is the length of the base of my sail. Well, it started out, what we divided into is x to the fourth. So my answer, quotient, is going to be x cubed. So our answer is 32x cubed, and then just work your way down from that. Plus 8x squared minus 24x plus 16. Minus 24x plus 16. There we go. That's the base, the length of the base of your sail. Very good. You can work on your worksheet now. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask me tomorrow or in class or whenever. Peace out. Girl Scout.